Good morning, Denise Dryden out here on Bainbridge Island. It's hot. It's going to be another hot sunny day, so I'm underneath this arbor in the shade, and it is a beautiful experience to be out here where the birds are chirping and the squirrels are chattering. And I wanted to talk to you today about the different kinds of research that we have, the different ways that we can do research. Because we have tons of information going on right now, right? Everything's coming in with, this report, that report, this report, that report, this is right, this is wrong, like all of those pieces, right? And so because this is a show where an event where I get to come in and talk to you about, like, what does it mean when I say research and what are we going to do about that? I'm going to start with the definition of research. Always, right? So research is the systematic investigation and study of materials and sources in order to establish facts and reach new conclusions. So research is about gathering the information and reaching a new conclusion, like coming up with something that maybe didn't exist before. It's a creation of new knowledge. It's using existing knowledge in new and creative ways. And it's about creating new concepts, methodologies, and understandings. So research isn't sort of one of those done, been there, It is one of these ongoing, moving, organic, alive processes. So I'm a historian, and I understand the role of research and documentation in proving where you got your information, right? So, as a historian, I study events, I study experiences, and I study perspectives. Because as we know, everyone's writing, everyone's information that's documented is from the perspective that they had. So what a historian likes to do is establish patterns and establish perspectives and say, this from all of these perspectives is what looked like happened. However, each individual perspective is unique. Makes sense. So in addition to being a historian, I'm also a metaphysician, which means that there's lots of information that's coming in, lots of ways for me to gather that, and sometimes in sort of surprising ways, right? So self-trained, self-taught metaphysician means that I come up with experiencing new ideas and new ways, and then I turn them as a coach into skills and tools. So what happens when we have a reaction to research? When somebody says, well, so-and-so said this, and the CDC or, the White House or the, fill in the blank. When blank said blank. And we have a reaction. We have a reaction, and it's because of our own lens, our own experience, our own resonance, and it's, it comes up. Makes sense, right? So we have a lens and we have a perspective. So in 2015, I started putting together some information that was coming in about these new energies on the earth, and one of them was the indigo energy, the indigo people, which was that they are truth and justice at their core, that they are warriors of justice. They have like these mental processing swords in their hands, and that they are swords of clarity, and they're here to go like, yeah, that's not true, yeah, that's not true, yeah, that's not true. And so they started, and then following behind them were these crystalline people, these crystalline children who are now grown adults who are vibrational, and they feel what is real and what is truth in their bodies and in their fields of energy, right? And they struggle in environments where the environments are out of integrity. Which means that if there's an environment that's out of integrity, a crystal person is going to be like, yeah, I can't work here, I can't be here, I can't listen to you pontificate about the values of this company when you are cheating on your wife. All of these pieces, right? Where when truth isn't present, then there's this data that's involved in these energies. So we have these two energies on Earth that started in the mid-70s, went all the way through to the 2000s, which means that most of our grown adults at this time who are having children and in the workforce have these energies where they're really sensitive to the truth. And that data in research can enforce and prove whether or not this truth is worth fighting for. It just depends on where you get the data and where you get the research, right? because we're energetic beings and we have a field of interaction around us that helps us gather information every second by second by second. And I have done this, which is the Taurus energy, or our entire expanded field through Heart Math Institute. These are our documented research, right? That shows that that something can impact us feet, half a mile, half a block from our body if we are tuned into it and if we are aware, right? So when our field goes into reaction, there's a couple things that are going on. It means that you open up a Facebook post, you get a phone call from a relative, you have this conversation and your body goes into reaction, right? So there are one of two things going on. The external information is not in alignment with the internal information, and there's this dissonance, and you're like, yeah, this doesn't feel right, and I'm out of alignment with it. Or number two, it's hitting some unexplored, unknown pains and fears in our systems, whether it's memories, whether it's stored stories, whether it's pains, whether it's wounds. It is tapping on something and they're activating. So we have this reaction, like there's something about this story that I don't like, that I'm having a reaction to, that can cause discomfort. And so what we want to do is we want to explore it. So here's where it gets interesting. Here's where it gets fun, is that it's happening. When it's happening, it's time for you to do your own research. And so when you see these little snarky, or you take it as snarky things on Facebook, which is, please do your own research. Please go explore yourself what's going on. This is what we're talking about, right? Think about it. It means you're having a reaction to some facts and you're really pissed off and you want to slay somebody on social media. Find out why the dissonance is there or what the reaction is. Because it's easy to pick a fight. It's easy to get snarky with anybody out there about data, about positions, about facts that trigger you. But we have a culture that does this way too easily. And what I'm saying is that what's happening is we're getting into these power struggles of my energy doesn't like what your energy is saying, and I'm going to make sure that you are wrong. So we get into proving right, proving wrong, which is like the entire dualistic world that we're trying to get over, right? So the real invitation is to notice what's going on when you're all stirred up. Where is the reaction coming from? And then to explore and to discover and to investigate, like, there's more information here. There's something else I need to go after, because we're in a tough place right now where our energetic skills are coming up online. And we're starting to feel and we're starting to see and we're starting to put some pieces together, and it's getting stronger and stronger. And the old ways of doing things, of collecting data, of trusting people, trusting institutions, trusting those words, they're not happening anymore. So we're in this internal and external conflict, which is, I don't feel good about what's going on, and I don't know what to do, and I'm triggered, right? So because we have these challenges, and these challenges are, they're in our social media, they're in our conversations at work. All you have to do is talk to someone and say, so what do you think about what's going on right now during this lockdown? And we have these things where it's an invitation for new perspectives, new processes, new approaches. Because when we go up against the old, we're going to need to use some tools, because we're in this brand new territory where we're dismantling the old that no longer holds resonance for us. And we're creating something new, entirely new, that we don't even know. And it's going to be about the way we work. It's going to be about the way we live. It's going to be about the way we educate. It's going to be about the way we interact, the way we see our bodies. So I'll give you some ideas here of how to handle this and navigate forward, and how to do your own work, how to do your own research. So a little bit, a background here. As I said, I'm a metaphysician. I have a background in exploring lots of different dimensions, lots of different perspectives. But I'm also a solid educator. I've been in the therapeutic industry for 25 years. I've owned businesses and I'm an entrepreneur. And my passion has been parent and child relationships. So I'm in this place where I'm gathering information from a lot of different solid tools that I have. And I'm an intuitive guide, which means my intuition is bigger than all of those. So the two things that I've discovered most recently is that I can put the label, I'm claircognizant, onto my skill set, because this started showing up in 1995, in 2007, when I'm working, is that I know things. My head holds things, there's facts in there, there's details in there that I have no idea where they came from, right? They're pictures, they're stories, they're details. And it happens when I'm teaching a class, it happens when I'm on the phone doing an admission, it happens when I'm coaching, and it's these downloads of information that are pieces of history or pieces of data that are correct. And I'll go research and I'm like, I have no idea how I knew that, but I do. So I know things that I don't know. So it's psychic knowledge without knowing how or where it came from. The second thing that pairs with that is that I'm clairsentient, which means that I'm going to gather information and I'm going to feel it in my body. And so now I've learned that when my body's talking to me, like, yes, this is true. I'm like, how do we know that's true? My body's going, yes, it's true. And so, after years of thinking I might be going crazy, I have both knowledge that drops in and I can feel it in my body that confirms that knowledge. So the question is how do you access information? How do you go beyond what you can read in the paper or watch on the news, and how do you access information? And then how does it feel in your body when you're working with new information? So part of what I do each week is that I give you some tips and some tools, because I'm not going to present all this information and then leave you hanging out there. I'm going to give you something that you can hold on to, because these are really, really, really important times. And they're going to continue to escalate. And we're going to need clarity. And we're going to need a starting point of how to begin and explore. And so some of these tips are, how do you do your own research? How do you know what research is for you? Okay? So number one, choose a topic, any topic. Just pick something off of your head, whether it's like masks. Are you afraid of getting sick? What do you feel about the lockdown? What do you think about the medical information? Just grab something and sort of pull it in and watch your body, right? Check in. What's really going on in my body? So that's the first thing. Pick a topic and then notice. Or like bring it in and start to let it swirl. Number two is to notice your body, your breathing, your physicality, your thoughts, your sounds. And then start to pay attention to what else might be talking to me here. So the second thing is to notice what part of you and your field and your energy and your body and your thoughts start to educate you, start to give you information. Number three, learn how to dialogue with it there, which is like, did I just really think that? Is that really going on? And you can sort of go, oh, okay. So if I'm getting mad and I'm getting riled up, or I'm hot, or I'm ungrounded, or I'm overwhelmed, what am I experiencing? Is this a reaction to the conversation I'm having? And then we start to put some things together, like, man, every time I see this one person on Facebook, I go, ha. Or I notice that there are certain thoughts that go through my head that my body has a reaction to. And it's kind of like playing Marco Polo with your body, right? Number four, you can go back to a previous video that I did, I think it was about 1.5 years ago, called The Body as a Pendulum, which is get to know yeses and nos. If you don't know how to talk to your body, at least get to the sort of like tap, tap, that means yes, tap means no, or whatever, right? Where you can start to encode and break down how to communicate through the reaction. So for me, I use a muscle test. Because absolutely, no matter how much I try, I cannot break my hands apart if it's a yes. But if it's a no, I couldn't hold it together if I tried. So when we use our body as a pendulum, the most, or any part of our body as something that we're reacting to, or that we're getting information from, right? The most important thing is to trust it. If it says no, it's like, you sure? Or you go, yeah, okay, thank you, that's a no. And you trust it, and you go, got it. And that's how you build up this trusting relationship with your system, which is, I'm going to ask you, and you're going to give me the truth, and I'm going to believe you, right? So number 5 is expand. Do your own exploration. Get your device out and start to like enter in words. Look up claircognizant, find out what, and then read all the articles. It says, how do you know if you're claircognizant? Look up, mass, look up anything. And then allow yourself to go through then I click on this, then I click on this, then I click on this, because we have to get below what's right there in front of us and start to look at what all the ancillary pieces are in order to truly understand that there might be something else going on here. And then you check in with your body. So you expand and you check in, and you expand and you check in. And number 6, resist the temptation to share all this information as soon as you find it. It's almost like, I just found out that, and then you're posting and you're talking and you're calling your friends and you're having these conversations, and people are looking at you, especially if it's different than what you've been saying. They're looking at you like, what have you been smoking? Who have you been talking to? What's going on? What we want to do is we want to allow our body time to integrate these truths, which are, how do I really feel about masks? There's pros and cons. There's real big issues on both sides. And now I really understand all of them rather than just one, right? Because we're in a changing world and we're in unknown territory. We haven't been here before. We're creating a new normal. And so all each of us can do is be curious and be gentle and be courageous and be compassionate with what we learn and how we build a platform of our own wisdoms, because that's what this is all about. What are your own wisdoms, and how are you as a sovereign being going to navigate through this? So this is the kind of stuff I've been doing weekly. I'm loving it. You can find videos on this Facebook page. You can go to YouTube, and I do them once a week, so there's hundreds at this point. And you can also find me on DeniseDrydenCoaching.com. You have a great Sunday. Get curious and start doing some research in something that would really surprise you. Take care. Bye-bye.